What's up, YouTube? Wow, that was jarring. Sorry about that.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Is it like welcome back for you or welcome back for us? Because, you know.
It's welcome back for them.
It's welcome back for you for coming
Yeah,
back.
thank you for coming back.
Okay, got it.
Not us welcoming back. They're the ones who have to come.
No, I'm sorry. You have to give me money, and then I'll do it. It's not free. I keep forgetting that.
I'm excited about today's topic too, right?
I hope so.
It's one of those real topics though. Like it's kind of, you don't really know where to begin because it's a sensitive one. We're talking about religion today. As you can tell from the title.
Yeah.
While we're trying to be all extras.
Whatever the title was, or
whatever
is,
it is.
whatever I decided is.
Yeah, whatever we decided.
Whatever we decided is. All right, it's just a conversation because at the end of the day,
right, a discussion that I feel like because of our inclusivity.
Yeah. Inclusivity. Yeah.
Inclusivity.
You said that right, I think.
Inclusivity.
We'll have to check the tape.
Because of that, it's like, why not discuss, you know, something as serious, as real, as in our everyday life, you know, if you don't mind being personal with the green couch.
Mm-hmm. Religion in all its forms. And
you are asking me a question right now.
Have you heard about what's going on in Canada? At least in recently, so this would be June and July of 2021. They're doing some ground penetrating radar searches of old Catholic church ran residential schools in Canada, and searching of these grounds has, and I don't know how many schools have been looked at so far, but they found over 1,000, if not over 1,500 unmarked graves of Native American children who were taken from their homes and forced to go to these schools. I want to say the last one closed in the 90s. The Catholic Church ran these schools for the Canadian government, and they're basically a way to colonize and destroy the culture of Native Americans within the Canadian state. It was the same way with the United States. That's like the old saying was in the United States was kill the savage, save the man.
School founder Richard Henry Pratt served in the Southern Plains as captain of the 10th Cavalry Buffalo Soldiers. It was during his service that Pratt's social beliefs regarding Native Americans evolved closer and closer to that of a prejudiced disposition.
It's rampant abuse, like beating, any actions or behavior that were of your culture, get beaten out of you, just like really awful, sexual abuse, all of that. And it did happen in the United States. They haven't searched any of the schools that were ran by our government. So these are ran by the church, and that's why we're covering this specifically. And Pope Francis had made a comment, so he's the head of the Catholic Church, and which was like, I sympathize with you, but then stopped short of offering an apology from the church. So that was even more of like kind of a rubbing salt on the wound. This has prompted the burning of several churches on indigenous land. Don't know who burnt them, so I won't make any guesses as to it. But this is a way to look at the complex nature of religion, things that people hold so dear, including the descendants of the victims, because it's like when you get something beaten into you, sometimes it's hard not to subtract yourself from it. But at the end of the day, I think organized religion does have similarities.
Like receiving information and breaking it down, and it creates like my character, morals, and you I guess you make up your mind for yourself. I understand why everyone will be generalized. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we're talking about religion, I want to say / spirituality, because for each person there is a meditative point.
Yes.
In the process, in the journey, you know, whatever it is that you want to call it.
The underlying issue, or one of them, with organized religion is this inability to accept we talked about that. This inability to accept responsibility. For the good, we give it to God, and for the bad, we give it to the devil. Right. At least that's, you know, the Christian principle.
But it's, I mean, all across it's the same, I think.
I think they're similar, but you know, and that's I was gonna get into that, but polytheism versus monotheism. So polytheism has multiple gods.
What is God to you? You know, if a story like this comes out, that would be my question for someone that would condone it.
And I think what I'm used to, because I came up atheist or agnostic in some way. My grandmother was Christian and had her own personal relationship, but I never saw her go to church. So I never witnessed this like worshiping of a central authority that existed. You see the split between like a spirituality where there's not a church and then like a centralized power like a church is around the Neolithic Revolution, when we started needing to be more sedentary and we stopped moving around as much. That's the thing that justified us having land, borders, kind of, just ethnicities, which also justified like harsher tribalism, you know, and you needed to justify a centralized like authority, so a government. This one person who apparently has like claimed power for themselves. So there has to be a reason why this person has power. So simultaneously you can come up with, take people's spirituality, which we have had since probably before people.
Right.
Animals don't bury their dead.
Right.
But humans do, and some of our earlier predecessors started burying their dead. There's this sense of like, not just this physical realm that we see. So since we were a species 200,000 years ago, we've had a spirituality. And that's been pointed at by the use of ochre, which is like this pigment that people rub on things. And
like in Lion King?
Yeah, exactly. Damn, that's what he's Yeah, I think with our brain capacity, we start questioning, instead of just like the wheres, the whens, the whats, we start questioning the like whys, like why are we here?
Right.
The oldest known human, like Homo sapiens sapien burial, is 100,000 years old.
Yeah.
So we know that we've had spirituality since that.
Yeah.
Once you have to get all these people together and listen to you, I think there was this need to create a box to put all of that spirituality in, and again to coalesce power.
And no disrespect, you know, but I feel like that is the hamster wheel. I feel like it hinders us as people to see the truth, you know?
Yeah.
Because that centralized God, that centralized system is all for itself almost. And I don't believe love is for itself. I believe that love is for all and in serving for all. And it's taught. And that's the part of the regurgitation I don't understand. Is that it's taught.
Yeah, but it's not practiced.
It's disconnected.
Or like, I'm not gonna say it's not practiced, but it's not practiced to like the extent that it's taught.
I think that is God, because there's a humbleness with correction.
Yeah, but I think that brings into question like right and wrong, and
but
good
not right and I'm sorry.
And good and bad.
Yeah.
And those things are relative.
Yeah.
To who is in power. So now you have a moral doctrine, because different religions have different morals.
But, is it me, or is it like we can't think for ourselves?
Well, you are a product of your society that you grow up in. You're a product of what your parents taught you. You're a product of what your school taught you, what TV teaches you, what your religion teaches you, what that random person that you had a conversation with teaches you, like YouTube now. So So I don't know. Can we think for ourselves? Is that real?
I believe we can because we practice it every day. We're so opinionated. Look at social media. We do it every day, and the evident fact that we can pick up our rose-colored glasses is very privileged, and it ain't real, and it ain't woke. If I can be honest. And I think this is like one of those things where it's like, this is the only way you really gonna know, right? Is that you see Christianity going into the sourness, and they come out of nowhere and start busting people's homes down, and it's just like, and you gonna keep praying to Jesus, or I'm gonna kill you. I don't think people are seeing what we're seeing is we're watching religion unfold in a way where it's like, it's not coming out the way you're saying it's supposed to. That's just how uncomfortable it makes me with the like, and I'm not generalizing. I'm definitely speaking to those that are so firm in the actions of violence, you know?
Well, and let's, you know, even though a lot of in fact, the entirety of every negative interaction that I've had with someone of faith has been Christians and branches of Christianity, Mormonism, Protestant, Catholic, you know, being told I'm going to hell as a child, you know, just like very impactful things, and being the one sheep and not straying from the flock, but getting like kicked out of the flock and being like, oh, okay, so that doesn't match. So like listening to words being preached to me that don't match. Wow, I'm going off on a tangent. I don't want to make it about.
Right. But and that's the thing. The green couch is definitely opinionated. It's personal, and it's going to be factual because of Alec. I wish I was, you know, the type of person that will just go run and look for information like that. But I definitely go solely off of my opinion, and it makes you really passionate because we are talking about our morals.
Because I don't want to make it specifically about Christianity, because I think one of the things that prompted us to this idea was your reaction to what the Israeli state was doing to the Palestinians. And you know, if anybody doesn't know, basically since the Israeli state has been around, they have been ghettoizing and brutalizing the Palestinian people. And I'm not saying Israeli people, and I'm not saying Jewish people, like, get that straight.
So, to be clear, I sometimes reference the geopolitical complexities of the topic, which is not the same as going to an anti-Semitic place.
I have no stake in this.
But the Israeli government, which is a Jewish government, so that's going back to tying religion with power. You have marked and unmarked. We discussed this in an earlier episode, in our intersectionality episode, so I would go and watch that to brush up on some of these ideas. It all goes into intersectionality. So you have a marked and unmarked. In this country, I'm gonna say that you are unmarked if you're a Christian. If you're Catholic, if you worship Jesus, if you have a cross on your neck, and you're marked if you worship any other spirituality. There's a respect of you being religious, because as someone who didn't grow up in a church, I can tell you that, like, I feel like people respected people of other faiths more than they respected someone who didn't have a faith. Like, it was almost like we were like, you're more despicable for not having a faith.
You have no foundation in the eyes of someone, you know, that's judging you like that.
I mean, my foundation came from my parents, came from my family, you know, came from my grandmother, who did have a spiritual, you know, basis. They gave me lessons to make me a good human being. And that's a principle of Judaism that I know. Like, that's, as a Jewish person, this is what I've heard, so if I'm wrong, please correct me. But really the goal in life is just to be a good person. As good of a person as you can be, to be the brightest light in the pool of lights at the end of the day.
Okay, I grew up Christian. I used to get up with my sisters, put on our church clothes, you know, the stockings with the dress and the shoes and you know what I'm saying, how your mama used to dress you up for church. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm sorry, Mom. But she used to chill at home, but she used to work really hard. My mom is a single mom, so she used to work really hard, but she stayed home.
That's exactly what my dad went through. My grandma be up cooking breakfast, and their asses would have to
go to church. Right. So we used to walk down to church. We went to Sunday school, and then even after that, we moved to Atlanta because that was in North Carolina, and we become a part of the. This is like a different part of religion, you know, that it's so ingrained in our minds, is like, keep your child involved in church. You need to keep them involved in church. If your child's soul isn't gravitating, is where I'm going. If it isn't gravitating towards something, it's not going to gravitate towards it even more if you're pressuring it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to create something, definitely. It's being preserved. But they're definitely going to be very resentful and definitely not going to give it their all. You know what I'm saying? And that includes the church.
Whatever God talks to you about yourself, like that's you. I can't tell you, but for you to come up to me in any means and tell me that God is talking to you about me, then I can't prove that. I can't disprove it. But I think that's a way of like control. You know, I feel like the popes did it. The Pope is the worldly mouthpiece of God, right? That's how the Pope is.
The worldly mouthpiece of God.
Yes. So he represents God's word, right? I can't represent God's word in this eye. Only the Pope and church officials can. Or only, you know, let's go into a Protestant thing. Only people who have been ordained, you know, they have a prophetic word. So they, you know, me, I'm the pastor. I'm more in tune with God than you are. So you got to come to me and tithe to me to maintain your relationship with God. Mayans did that. They would keep the lower class out of the ritualistic ceremonies, except for, I'm talking about Chichen Itza very specifically, except for the equinoxes, when Quetzalcoatl would come, because that's how they built their pyramid, so that when the equinox would come, it would cast a shadow and it would look like Quetzalcoatl was coming down the pyramid. It's really cool. But it also does it days around the equinox because it's just how the sun hits at that time.
Yeah.
So they knew that they had to keep the people out until that day. And they're like, you guys better take care of us, because if you don't take care of us, Quetzalcoatl won't come and you guys won't be able to benefit from the relationship that you have with him. And that they were wrapped up with the government. The government and priests were like that. It's the same with Egypt. Egypt effectively after unification went from, hey, that guy's a pretty good leader, Scorpion, that was his name, to, hey, those are gods and we can't do anything about them. And they effectively tied government and religion together as a control point.
Right.
We low-key have that in our country, in God we trust.
Right.
Printed on our money, Pledge of Allegiance, under God. It's weird because you see like people who worship the same God or same like gods murdering each other. Just the small differences in religions, and they'll fight like within a religion. And then of course it's like, well, our religion is better than your religion, and the gods you worship either don't exist, they're weak, or how Christianity does with literally almost every religion is demonizing. That goes back to a marked and unmarked idea, where like Christianity is, I would say, the dominant religion of the world. Not that there aren't a lot of other religions that exist and have a lot of populations. It's just those who most recently colonized the world were Christian cultures. So I think those are the cultures that are like right now also colonized, is neo-colonialist. So we're like re-pushing a US Christianity as opposed to like the British and Spanish and French Christianities that we got. This is now a US Christianity that gets pushed by our missions, or our missionaries. And so now you have people who are forcibly colonized by Christianity, demonizing every other religion, but like the Beyonce thing, you know, because it's like everybody demonized it's Yoruban traditions. That is what was on her video. The same way they did with indigenous practices here in the United States.
Yeah, I just think that there's like this messed up, or I believe that there's this messed up way of interrupting someone's peace. Like their religion is tied into spirituality. Just in the perspective of it, like there was that one story of the gentleman doing mission work and thinking that it was okay to go to an island he had no business being on, and actually losing his life to what we will call savages as Christians, other than respecting their space and their land and their community and their religion and their spirituality and their mathematics and everything that comes with that piece of land. And we sit around and we really say we're woke, and we regurgitate colonialism and capitalism and
prosperity gospel,
narcissism, like make America
gospel.
Great type shit.
I can guarantee anyone who was like shocked by that young man getting killed and negatively looked at these people, I can almost guarantee that if someone of a different religion tried to break into your house to convert you, you probably would shoot them.
Oh yeah,
like because they broke into your house.
Right off top, but that's because you know your rights.
Right, and that goes to the ethnocentrism that comes with just being cocky in power, going to Christianity, and that's what's wild is like.
And again, not generalizing.
No, because I know really cool Christians out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of cherry picking, and I see it with New Age people who, you know, and maybe I do too. You take a little bit from here, you take a little bit from here. What feels right, you know, you cherry pick ideas.
Yeah.
It's almost worse when someone's in a religion and they have this manuscript, this dogmatic manuscript that's like, hey, this is how you're supposed to live.
Right.
And they'll use this one like, man shouldn't lay with a man. But they won't use this one, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. Right. And it's like they're both in the same manuscript. How can you pay attention to one and not pay attention to the other?
But how can we not pay attention to the fact that this was given to us by wicked people? We let that sit for a second, baby. A lot of times I ask this question and the ministers, the leaders, they never seem to know the answer to this. How could this even be considered right in any way when it was given by wicked people?
I think that's the cognitive dissonance, because I feel like you could make that argument to someone and they're gonna defend the religion, but you could make that same argument to that same person about Thomas Jefferson or George Washington or people who gave us these principles that we founded that our country are founded on, but we're also like despicable men. And they would be like, yeah, no, we should just like push them aside, don't give them any credit, but at the same time defend the religion that was brought with that same system.
It's the person's perspective on what's evil.
I guess, you know, it's like, what are they willing to, it's that throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And I feel like that's that principle. It's like, don't throw the good out with the bad. Just because it was brought to us by wicked people doesn't mean that it's all bad. But they will not apply that.
Truthfully, going to church, I'm not gonna sit here in front, you know what I'm saying? Like, I pick and chose, you know, what I wanted to follow and what I didn't want to follow. If we just want to be real, you know what I'm saying? Don't sit on your throne just yet, baby, if you ain't been called yet, you know what I'm saying? I think what we, again, have to understand where the division lies is like these judgments against each other when we all need help.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone of us knows what's right. And anyone who's going around espousing that someone else is going to be damned because they're not in the same club, like that's just wrong. Because from my understanding of my little teaching is that you don't know what's in God's head.
No.
So we don't know which club he rocks with the most, if he rocks with any club the most.
Well, who was right? Who gets into heaven?
I'm afraid it was the Mormons. Yes, the Mormons were the correct answer.
I assume that if he created all of us, he loves us all regardless of what we believe.
And that includes class. That includes
For sure.
sexuality.
Yep.
That includes
ethnicity.
This idea that this nation, this country is so voluntarily blind to its problems is astonishing.
Like I said, I think religion, spirituality, faith has a lot of positive and productive things. The amount of charity that I've seen from people of faith, but I've also seen charity from people who are not of faith. So that's not the only thing, but I have seen that a compassion for other people. Even when Christians are trying to, what I call proselytize, I think there is a sense of like, no, this is such a positive thing for me, and I love you so much that I want to share it with you. Yeah. Even though when you're telling someone that they're gonna go to hell, it doesn't line up. Like your intent and your message don't line up, because I'm gonna tell you that doesn't. Like this. Yeah. When you're telling me that being a good person isn't enough to get into God's good graces, then I feel like there's some BS behind what you're telling me.
Being a good person is subjective.
Subjective, there it is. That's real too. And
that's
good,
real.
I might not.
But what the church should be, I ain't gonna say should be, because it's such a sensitive topic, but there should be a sense of community, more community. There's times where there's someone you need to speak to, not to push it on anybody, because that's not what I'm saying. But the church, I think, should give in that way.
Yeah, stop doing missions so that you can get people in your seats, and do it because that's a good, I don't think Jesus was doing good deeds because he wanted people to pray to him. I think he did good deeds because that's just what an awesome person he was.
I feel like it filled his soul to do that. I'm just saying, we see a lot more praise to the idea that a pastor looks like he got it together, opposed to actually teaching in a way where it outpours, literally outpours. But we too busy looking for tangible and superficial things. But the fact that they are sitting on millions of dollars, and
there's constantly discussions of who in the congregation got a raise, and who in the congregation got a new job.
Because it's kept within the
and who can
church.
tithe more, and it's
that's really, and you cannot ask for newcomers to come and you don't have a aura, a sense that you are giving that way. It's because this is the environment I grew up in. This is what I've seen, because it's just all about for show. The cars, the hats, you know what I'm saying? We are so confused. We go to so many different, it's like that part in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, when she's laying in the bed with him and he got all the different religious tattoos on him, and she's just your conflicting ideologies. And that's what I feel like altogether America is. And
we want to leave on a positive note. I don't want to leave this off as just denigrating religion or faith and everything. I found this on sapiens.org. Belief is the ability to combine histories and experiences with imagination. That's what spurs innovation. We wouldn't have this ability to record and put it on YouTube with the lights and everything without that combination of combining histories with imagination. The what happened with the what could be. And that's where we live. We live in the now. And so it also enables us to see, feel, and know an idea that is not immediately present to the senses. So in a religious idea, it's things that are intangible. It's the afterlife, it's God, it's gods, it's spirits, it's all that. But to just the human existence, it's the wheel, it's solar power, it's hydroelectric power, it's farming, it's giving your dog a shirt. It's inherently human. Right. It really is. It's hominid, so our ancestors had it, but it's so human.
You go through so much shit in life that you constantly get beat down, you're losing part of yourself, and you go to religion and it's confusing. And then you evolve and you start to understand because of your personal relationship with God, and not based off of anyone else.
Someone else's. But do unto others. That's gonna be my last words. Besides, Like, share, and subscribe. Please.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe, be kind to one another. Welcome to the Green Couch. If you are new, thank you for tuning in and clicking that button. But thank you guys. Y'all have a good night.
Later.
Right?
Uh-huh.
I always do that, right? You guys like our videos?
Alright, click some buttons. Whichever buttons work. The thumbs up, don't ever click the thumbs down. Ever. Never. Leave a comment, and then wherever the subscribe button is, and make sure that you click the bell. Also, do y'all like my inexplicable dad hat that I randomly just put on? So I hope you liked whatever video that was.
Yeah. Peace.
Later.